Good Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to GardenStateWeather.com and GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, providing superior forecasting for the northern mid-Atlantic region 24 hours a day. I'm forecaster Robert Smith, and it is Groundhog's Day, February the 2nd, 2016, and just in about an hour or so from this broadcast, Puxatawny Phil in Pennsylvania, Staten Island Chuck, and some of the others will be coming out to see if there's a shadow or not, meaning 6 more weeks of winter or an early spring. I can tell you by looking at the latest forecast charts that 6 more weeks of winter is more than likely on the way. This is the video forecast discussion for the 2nd of February 2016. Looking around the forecast region this morning, it's generally clear to partly cloudy, and we've got seasonably chilly temperatures for this time of the morning. Temperatures are generally running in the mid to the upper 20s, getting close to the upper 30s in the New York City metropolitan area this morning. The winds are light, they're variable, mostly from the north, and even though they're light and variable, there's still a little bit of a wind chill effect to the air outside this morning, so do bundle up. Watch its warnings and advisories. We'll start with the inland areas. Here we have aerial flood watches in effect from basically now going into 5 p.m. on Thursday. This would be from around Edison and New Brunswick out to Allentown here, and the Trenton area, the Philadelphia area also included, parts of Mount Holly, all the way out and through central and southwestern central Pennsylvania. And this is for the antecedent warm temperatures, the snowmelt, and the 1 to 1.5 inches of rainfall in heavier downpours from Wednesday into early Thursday morning that could cause some flooding in these areas, and we'll get into this in just a moment. Now, we do have small craft advisories on the Jersey coastal waters into the back bays here of the Delaware until Thursday morning as well, and we have a gale watch for the South Shore and east ends of Long Island, and this will be into effect until about noontime on Thursday. Everything looking good on the aviational weather deck for today. VFR ceilings, a variable thin cirrus at about 20,000 feet in arriving this afternoon. Light north wind this morning turning east this afternoon. Late. Microphone problems again. So ceilings increase during this afternoon. A light shower late tonight. East wind increases to 10 to 15. Wednesday, occasional rain. MVFR, IFR conditions and rain and fog. The rain will likely be heavy at times. There is a low chance of lightning, mainly southeast of Philadelphia. Southerly winds gusting up to 30 knots in the afternoon. And now Wednesday night into early Thursday, MVFR, occasional IFR and rain and fog. The rain heavy at times, especially northeast or northwest rather over the I-95 corridor. Thunder is possible, mainly Wilmington, Millville, Atlantic City. Southerly winds up to 30 knots. Wednesday night, gradually improving to VFR from west to east as a cold front crosses the terminals. MVFR conditions may persist around Atlantic City and Millville. Wind shift to the northwest at around midnight, generally at about 20 knots or less. And Thursday through Saturday, generally VFR conditions. Right now outside of Newark, 33, dew point 25, humidity 72%. The wind is light out of the northeast at 7. Clear skies and just an increase of cloud cover for today. VFR conditions in place. Right now at JFK in New York City, we've got 37. Dew point 24, humidity 59%. The wind is north at 6. Clear skies, VFR conditions in place. High clouds rolling in during the afternoon. Right now outside of Philadelphia, International, 37, dew point 27, humidity 67%. The wind is north at 8. Clear skies, VFR conditions in place. Pretty dynamic storm system this morning cutting up through the central and southern plains. Got blizzard warnings. We'll get into the warnings in just a moment. This is dynamic. Got a lot of snow falling, moderate to heavy here on the north side here from Grand Isle. And if we take a look at some of these amounts here, Lincoln, Nebraska is in some of this right now. This is extending right back down through the Colorado Rockies right now, up to North Platte, Grand Isle. And we've got moderate pockets of rain across the south and central states here. Wichita, Kansas have been divided in with some of the convection here. And, well, the storm system is going to be quite dynamic as it pulls to the north and east during today. Lots of freeze action going on across the southwest this morning. And of course, as that storm is pulling into the plains here, we've got winter storm warnings. And we've also got blizzard warnings in effect across a portion of the central and northern central plains here. And this is for blowing and drifting snow. Want to take a look at some of the river gauges here and where we're going with our forecast here. The areas in yellow are the action stages here at the Passaic River at Pine Brook. If we take a look at that, we're going to be getting into the action stage on Wednesday and Wednesday afternoon. The action stage is at 18 feet. The flood stage begins at 19. We're going to get very close to that by 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. So if you're in that area, you want to be mindful of that. The areas here are at forecasted flood stages here. And we've got the south branch of Raritan Station here getting into the flood stage right around 8 feet about 1 a.m. on Thursday morning. Again, other areas here that we have for you here now. We've got also the Raritan River 1 mile northeast of Manville also getting into the flood stage at about 14 feet, about 14.6 feet by Thursday morning before everything subsides. So we're going to have to monitor some of these river basins here over the next 36 to 48 hours. Okay, rest of the forecast, we're going to talk about the apparent weather and the changes that are going on in the atmosphere, and the upcoming next couple of weeks are going to be quite interesting around here weather-wise. Here's our storm system, our blizzard, across the northern plains here during today, lifting up towards the Great Lakes, deepening as it does so. Out ahead of it, showers and thunderstorms and moderate pockets of rain in the warm sector here. Warm front approaches, clouds increase across the forecast region this afternoon and overnight. Light rain showers getting in here early tomorrow morning. And it's going to be mild with a surge of low-level southwesterly winds across the region coming in from off the ocean and aloft as well from the southwest. So we know that we're going to have moderate pockets of rain developing across the region during tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, and then exiting as the cold front moves off the coast and this storm system pulls out through the upper Great Lakes into southeastern Canada, providing a swath of moderate to heavy snow on the northwest side and moderate pockets of rain and thunder on the southeastern side in the warm sector. Then the atmosphere begins to cool down near normal temperatures again by the weekend. That frontal boundary now offshore with waves offshore and remaining so. And the forecast gets interesting as we head into the early part of next week as high pressure begins to move over the forecast region over the weekend. A clipper system to our north and the polar flow also moves to the south and east, reinforcing a cold front through the region on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. No precipitation expected. Here's another wave of low pressure developing on the front. The GFS and the CMC model guidance and some of the other guidance as well is starting to show this. And if this deepens and there's an interaction between these two, then we could have some kind of storm system around here on Monday. And how close to the coast this gets and our thermal profiles will delineate the type of precipitation. Right now the GFS is showing the chances of snow spreading across the coastal plain into interior, the coastal New York City and Long Island. This is still in question. There's not a full phase between these two systems, and one just pulls out, deepens rapidly off the southeastern coast of the Canadian Maritimes and southern New England's coastal waters, and then this clipper follows in suit, moving across the forecast region on Tuesday. And a very cold, dynamic air, cross-polar flow air gets involved here for the middle part of next week with a couple of more systems moving through the region. This one could produce another snow event around the region as it deepens off the coastal waters by Thursday of next week, according to the latest model guidance. Just brutally cold air building into the eastern United States. Canadian Operational sees the trough here crossing the region with another cold front on Saturday afternoon and Saturday evening. And then it also develops a coastal storm across the Carolinas, and there's a little bit more of an interaction here. On Tuesday, it passes it off the coast, and then all of a sudden the other low here across the north begins to move in its influences, and it deepens rapidly into a coastal storm by Wednesday. It's a little bit earlier on the forecast charts here, and it breaks out into a snowstorm in the New York City metropolitan area on Wednesday afternoon. The idea here is that we have to get the interaction of these features, the polar and Arctic disturbances and the subtropical disturbances, all to work together. The idea that the models are starting to show this has an increasing chances of an active pattern ongoing. The details of the pattern, however, remain uncertain and low at this time. GFS 500 millibar pattern for Sunday afternoon. Here's our southern stream low. Here's our polar disturbance here. And we want these two to kind of phase, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen according to this model guidance. But then the upper trough digs through and off the coast, and then a piece gets left behind. And here is the polar vortex on your doorstep north of the Great Lakes by Wednesday morning, and its shield of disturbances undercutting it. We could have more wintry precipitation around here as this Arctic motherlode of Arctic air participle of the polar vortex arrives here early in the northeastern United States next week. The evolution of this pattern of Arctic air moving in will be a series of disturbances and coastal storms that may impact the region, and by the middle to the later part of next week, the cold cross-polar Arctic flow begins to spread from southeastern Canada right into the eastern United States as heights and temperatures begin to warm in a positive PNA, negative EPO signal across the western United States, and just the cold plume Arctic air arrives across the eastern United States by next weekend. Let's look at this. At 850 millibar temperatures are just crashing 20 to 25, 30 degrees Celsius below zero at about 850 millibars. This is very brutally cold air for this time of the year. Strong southern stratospheric warming event at 10 millibars here. We can see this now. Started to spike here in later January. It's really going through the roof right now. And that's at 10 millibars. If we get down to 70 millibars, the lower layers of the stratosphere, all layers of the stratosphere show this significant warming event going on. Looking at the GFS at 70 millibars, the mid to lower layers of the stratosphere, mid layers actually of the stratosphere off the 6Z run this morning, you can see this very strong stratospheric warming event. It's beginning to break up the polar vortex over the pole here. And by the time we get to 240 hours here, look at this. We've got the mother lode here entering Hudson's Bay, Canada into the eastern United States. Strong ridging here. You can see the ridging building up here along the west coast, and the ridge extends all the way getting close into the Arctic Circle. So we know the pinching and breaking off of this is going to lead to very brutally cold air in the eastern United States. And by the next 15 days, you can still see that the eastern United States will be on a very cold side with a diminishing factor here from the polar vortex as it lifts back into Canada up towards the poles again, but still it's a very troublesome forecast because what we're dealing with here is cross-polar flow, Arctic and polar disturbances, active southern branch. Interaction between all of them leads to strong storm potentials along the eastern United States coastline. This will show you the high volatility in the forecast. If we looked at yesterday's 12Z run, for 384 hours up till about the 17th on Wednesday, shows the chances of moderate to heavy snow. Just snow. This is just snow now, the total snow accumulation over a 384-hour period. If we went to yesterday afternoon's, it lessens it. If we went to last evening's run, it disappears, and by this morning's run, it's back again. So there's a high volatility forecast going into the future, and that is what we've been talking about all. So over the next 24 to 48 hours, if you live near rivers and streams, you want to be mindful for the flooding potential. And also be careful out there tomorrow driving because the rain will be ponding as the water continues to flow over the top of a melting snowpack. We'll be discussing the winter as we go on forward here and live as well on GardenStateWeather.com, GardenStateWeather.blogspot.com, Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. I'm forecaster Robert Smith. You make it a good Tuesday, and we'll see you bright and early on Wednesday morning.